Hello and welcome to Big Talk, live from the nation's capital. My name is Rick Michael. A pleasure to have you join us tonight as we begin to express some developments in the state and, of course, in Nigeria as a whole. Earlier today, the controversy over full control of local government autonomy had sparked discussion from the Nigeria Bar Association, who met. They'll say that they're not really taking side about all of the matter, but they are trying to deepen the conversation to see as a question about issues of implementation, coming out with peace and to ensure that the system will work for the common of the people, that all tiers of government must be allowed, including the local government, to breathe. Though complicit may look to be the issues of the state government, and a lot of all of them who hold different opinions about the implementation. Some governors said it is a strange arrangement. But a representative of the Minister of Justice, the Director of Civil Appeals in the Ministry, Tijani, he says and noted that despite the judgment of the Supreme Court and the provision of the Constitution guarding against the interference of state governors in the running of local government councils, some governors and their state assemblies continue dissolving elected local government council without following the provisions of the Constitution. He also accused the Attorney General and Commissioners for Justice at the state level for not giving legal advice to their governors and called for a stiff penalty against any governor who continues in such an illegal act. And that was really part of the discussion from the Nigeria Bar Association here in Abuja, where they met to further the conversation surrounding local government implementation. For months after the Supreme Court judgment, what is happening within the local government financial autonomy? Are the local government receiving funds directly from the federation account, as the judgment has said? But it looks like there are a lot of technicalities surrounding this. Tonight, we'll be unpacking all of that concern to knowing where do we go from here. If we have a judgment from the Supreme Court, who are those who help implement all of these judgments? I'm being joined by a legal practitioner, Dr. Adabasin Tanrimiyu, who is, of course, also a real estate consultant, is my guest tonight. Thanks so much for joining us on the program, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I mean, I was happy to cite you at the conference. Where of MBA throwing their support behind issues of local government implementation. To you, what was your takeaway from all of that conversation?
Thank you very much. The local government system in Nigeria, if properly handled, will have solved a lot of problems at the grassroots. Because the local government system is that system of government that is at the grassroots. In fact, the generic term, call it local government because it is very, very local or common to the people who are the vast majority of the people that we have at the grassroots. And that is why it is expected that in this situation, the system should work. And that is why if you look at the setup of the country, the Constitution defines the federation as Nigeria consisting of states and the Federal Capital Territory. If you look at it very well, even the federation is made up of states. The states themselves are made up of local government. So which means those at the bottom who feel the impact of the administration are those at the local government. The effort that is being made now is to try and take this government down to the grassroots so that it will help to allow people know that they can even reap the dividends of democracy. And if it is properly handled, this issue of rural-urban migration will not be the thing. It will be a thing of the past. Because what you are going to take in the center, you can have it in the local government. Why do you have to go to the center?
Everybody coming to Abuja.
Instead of coming to Abuja, yeah, you stay in your local government and you have all that is there. But the problem we have discovered is that the administration of the local government system itself has become a thorn in the ass. This is because if you look at it critically from the legal framework establishing the local government system, you discover that it has a lot of contradictions. And that is why the Supreme Court has tried as much as possible to break one part of the contradiction. That part of the contradiction is to grant local government financial autonomy. But to what extent is the significance of financial autonomy if you don't have administrative autonomy? Now you discover that in the past, most of the monies that are given to local government, the Constitution said, in fact, the Constitution established two main accounts, the Federation Allocation Account and then the State Joint Local Government Account. The Federation Account takes care of all the money that is generated at the country and is paid into it to be shared between the three tiers of government. The State Joint Local Government Account is supposed to be that which should take care of the states and the local government as established under Section 162, subsection 5, and subsection 3 and 5. Amount due to local government should be paid to the state, Section 162, subsection 5. And then if it is paid to the state, it should be put into the State Joint Local Government Account, which is Section 162, subsection 6. It is expected that the state should now be magnanimous enough to now share that money to the local government. And it is not only the federation account that should be paid into that joint account. The contribution from the state internal generated revenue, a proportion of it, in Section 162.7, state should be paid into that state joint account. But in most cases, state don't pay that money. What they do is that scavenge on the little that has come, the one that has come from the federation account. Now, in that situation, you discover that the local government are at the mercy of the state. They cannot go there because you discover a situation whereby you find the local government themselves, more in those days, governors were appointing their stooges as caretaker committee members. Now I'm your employer and you are my employee. What power do you have? It depends on what I give you. And that is why you discover that it has retarded development drastically at the local government level. So in most cases, they have become like beggars. You have to go to the state and beg. And if you look at the configuration of the arrangement of sharing the money in the state also, you find the Commissioner for Finance, the Chairman, Accountant General of the state, Auditor General of the local government, and few of the local government chairmen that may be there. Now, where is the equity? Now, compare it with what is happening at the federal level. The state has its own Accountant General. It comes to the federal level for the federation account. They share this money with other Accountant Generals of the state. Then the question is that why would the state be willing to take its own share of the money at the federal level without interference, and then deny the local government, or want to scavenge, or want to pinch on what belongs to the local government without allowing the money to go down to the local government? That is the crux of the matter.
I mean, you've lived long in this country to know how the local government was before issues of joint account.
Yes.
What was the operation as at that time? Because many people said local government used to do this, they were able to do this, and all of that development.
You see, the trajectory of the evolution of local government is full of a lot of contradictions. During the local government reforms of 1976, it allowed local government. That is when local government became known as local government. Because initially, they were just administrative units. States run different types, whether county council, municipal council, district council, local administration, native authority. But by 1976, the 1976 reform now unified all the various tiers and brought them under one system of government and referred to it as local government system. It's a unified system with multipurpose functions. So all the functions that were performed by the different departments have now been merged into what is known as local government. At that time, the allocation that was coming from the regions and others was paid directly to the local government councils. And they were really doing their jobs. Now, during the evolution and the constitutional development, by 1979, when the first constitution came into being, that was when they started losing this autonomy. The constitution created this state joint local government account. It's not an issue that is today. Go to 1979 constitution, you find it. The state joint
even down to 1999.
Yes. Now it was also the provision of the 1979 constitution that was adopted, which dovetailed into the 1999 constitution. And therefore, the autonomy that was, in fact, during Babangida's period, he tried as much as possible to introduce this autonomy to the extent that money should be paid directly to the local government. But by the 1999 constitution, it went back to the old system again. And when it got to that system, the governors who became so powerful decided to hold on to it. And that is why it has become a problem. And thank God, that is why I told you that the legal framework has been the problem. And we are very happy that the Supreme Court now has decided to take the bull by the horn to now give it the real interpretation. Now, some people will tell you that, why is it that the Constitution has established the state joint local government account?
And from the 1999 Constitution that we have.
And then the Supreme Court said that the money, but the necessary intent of the Constitution is that this money should be paid to the local government. And therefore, if you apply the mischief rule to remove the mischief in the application of the law, which means what the Supreme Court did is to give effect to what is the intent of the drafters of the Constitution, that the money should go to the local government, just as the money from the federation account goes to the state. So if there's hurdles in trying to reach the local government because it goes through the state, why don't you take away the state and let it go directly? That is what just the Supreme Court has just done, by enabling the local government to take their funds directly.
All right. Doctor, you've also heard of the fears of some governors and some persons who said, look, we may not trust the entire system, that if funds get in there, we are sure of the intentions of implementation and development within the grassroots. So they have argued that the reason why they are still holding back to the concern that let's continue to work hand in hand by virtue of joint account is that we have a supervision to what projects we are doing and all of that. Because even the federation also have what they also supervise with what is happening within at the state level.
Yes.
Do you feel that these fears are valid?
They are not really valid, because if they apply the same fears, why has the federal government not applied the same fears to the state? That if we give you this state money, you states will not use it properly. Why have they not done that? They give them their money freely. Let me tell you one thing, my brother. Everything has a beginning. And therefore, you cannot just sit down and be assuming that because you feel that this is what will favor you and you think that is the general rule. There are exceptions. Even among the governors, there are others who collect their money. What do they do with it? They feed, they come and they go. There are people who collect it and we see they use it productively. And this local government with the system on ground and the activities of the corruption agencies, the EFCC and the Anti-Corruption Commission,
the ICPC.
Yeah, the ICPC, the Code of Conduct Bureau, these people will be able to checkmate this because, in fact, it is even worse with the governors because they have immunity. These people don't even have immunity. So if it is alleged that you have embezzled any money, which means they can just arraign you even while you are in office. If you do that to one or two people, then you discover that it is even safer from the local government because the state government who does that, you cannot even arrest him. You can't try him until after the damage has been done. So what is the justification? So it is better we start it. Allow them the opportunity. Now this will even now get back to the political community to know that since this money is coming in this quantity to the local government, we have to look for capable, experienced, and strong hands to go to the local government. You look at local government, it's like a dumping ground. Anybody who goes about that has nothing to do with just go and contest election. Now, start this financial autonomy and you see ex-civil servants, retired army, retired police officers, retired commissioners will be interested in going there to at least give them their experience. But why are you still going to treat them as little kids? Everybody look at this, what is there? Leave them, let them go and do what they will do. And that is why the system is still in comatose.
I mean, because that even gets us to talk about issues of administrative autonomy.
Yes.
For instance, look at the elections that have been conducted within the local government.
Yes.
The Supreme Court gave a judgment mandating that many state commissions should conduct local government elections. But from what we've seen, people have, described the elections to be more of a selection process where it wasn't really the will of the people, where one party or the ruling party in the state are taking almost all the seats within the councils and the councillorship position. Do you feel that even these monies, by virtue of the Supreme Court judgment, of the commencement of the transaction from the federation account to local government, you might get anything different from this?
Thank you very much. You see, the Constitution guaranteed that the system of local government shall be by democratically elected councils. In the past, this has been jettisoned by the states. And one very important radical solution or radical innovation that this Supreme Court judgment has brought is that area in which the states were compelled to conduct local government elections. And because the era of caretaker or management committee now appears to be over. Because if you don't conduct election, you will not get your federation account for the local government. Now, the truth of the matter is that I agree with you that most states, in fact, the elections that were conducted were more or less just shadow of themselves. Because most of the states, if you look at the structure of the State Independent Electoral Commission, that is where you start the problem first. The State Independent Electoral Commission, as established under Section 197, is a state body The state constitutes the panel, the state constitutes the members, the state supervises them, the state provides them with the logistics, and the state does everything. To what extent would you think somebody who is an appointee of a state, a governor who appoints you, and then you have the guts to stand before him and tell him, no, this cannot be done? Now, the truth of the matter is that we have started the process of legislative reforms, and the National Assembly had conducted part of the public hearing. These are some of the issues that will be looked into in order to make sure that immediately you have people and the system in which those who are conducting elections into local government are those people who have some level of independence, that they can stand on their own and say this is the right thing to do, irrespective of whoever acts is God. You see that the system will change. And therefore, we are very optimistic that what has just happened, coupled with the fact that, because some of them were as if they were whipped to fall in line by conducting these elections. So you will not expect much of the legal procedure and the rules to be followed. We can, to some extent, close our eyes to that. But I assure you, the next cycle of elections, things are going to be different, because the people will even challenge whatever is the system that is on ground. And I'm hoping, hopefully, that by the grace of God, with the time and the issue that will be on ground, the National Assembly may, even if it is possible, try as much as possible to arrange a system whereby, if I have the bill to make the suggestion, let local government come a little bit after the federal elections, or you conduct them all together, so that once you get
at the same time,
yes, you go and everybody goes to his work, so that you don't even guess whoever is coming. You come as all comers, do your work as all comers, and finish as all people that are going.
I mean, I know we are having issues of our constitution review and amendment. Yeah. Do you feel that there's a lot to be done about our constitution? Because many have said we may not be, our federation, what we are practicing, yes, there are a lot of clauses that are not allowing all of those things to be fully actualized.
Definitely. That is true. I have told you that the problem, especially with local government, is the legal framework of the system. Because the constitution in one breath describe the federation as consisting of states and federal capital territory. Then how do you look at local government as a third tier of government? It is a problem. Because it did not clearly come to say this is the issue. Then it goes back to section 3 or section 6 to say that the state country shall have 774 local government. Now, you have mentioned them. What is their status as regard the definition of federalism? Is it a third tier? Is it an appendage? Then it wasn't the situation by going to section 7 to say that the system of local government by democratically elected local government council is hereby guaranteed. But that accordingly, that is where the crux of the matter is. Each state shall ensure their existence under a law which provides for the establishment, structure, composition, finance, and function of this thing. So which means if you say each state should provide it, you are now telling another tier of government level, that is the state level, to now provide for the existence of another tier, or what is it? Now, if you look at the logic, it means, to some extent, the local government is more of an appendage of the state, because everything of it is around the state. Now, under a state law, what is the meaning of the state law? Like in America, you have the state constitution, whereby the rights of the states and the local government are clearly defined, isn't it? But here you say under a state law, which will provide for all these things. Now, most of the states went haywire and they were promulgating different legislation on the local government. Some of them even try to even subjugate and make the local government to come under the control of state more than what you think. And that is why if we want to do this thing, then it means the state laws also have to be amended. The Constitution, the Amendment Committee should now tell us what is the status of this state law. Because they say the state government, each state shall, under a law, what is the status of that under a law? Is that law a constitution? Is that law defining the powers of the state and the federal government and the local government? Is it recognizing the local government as an appendage or a third tier of government in order to give it the autonomy? Now, the extent to which we are talking about this financial autonomy, if you don't have the administrative autonomy, you're nowhere. And that has been the problem, because the administrative autonomy will have been the situation where you are sure of your existence. You can operate. You are sovereign. You are independent. You can take decisions. You can spend money. You can account for it. But the issue now that I said that no, your existence, establishment is under the state. And that was why in the past, the government can dissolve this thing because your existence is under them. So if they dissolve you, there's nothing. Your structure and everything is under them. So if they create any whatever structure, there's nothing. And that is why I said the issue that we need to do is to carry a holistic amendment of those clauses, as we mentioned, that have adverse effect on the operation of the system.
I mean, you've spoken so well. Let's get, before we wrap up on the convention, issue of regional development.
Yeah.
We've seen this government also, I mean, signing the South East Development Commission,
Yeah.
The North as well. I mean, he's even creating ministry, a special ministry to take charge or supervise the issues of regional development. Yes. Looking at Nigeria, do you feel that that's a way to go? Because from every angle of this tax reform bills that is already on the table, yes, the North are arguing that there are some content of the bill that will not favor the North, yes, or that will favor this other region. But take a look at regional development. Yes. People going back to develop their region, yes, and prioritizing what they could do. Yes. There's some that are arguing, can we amend our constitution to be able to have the status of regional development?
You see, it is by an indirect way for me, as I think, of introducing regionalism. We are going back to the regional administration, the regional system.
So you've once been on that system before?
Yeah, we've once been on the system. Western region, northern region, eastern region, and the rest. We were doing that Midwestern, yes, regions. That was the system in the 60s. Now, what people have come to discover is that the society is dynamic. So gradually, the governors will tell you that the governors from the north, governors from the south. Now it has come to Israel to say governors from the southeast, governors from the southwest, governors from this one, and now it's graduating to now regional bodies. You have North Central Development Commission, Northeastern Development Commission, Southwest Development Commission, and all this. Now, if the essence is to bring development to the area, I welcome it. But the problem in which you are only creating it because you just want to satisfy political expediency, whereby you channel money there and satisfy some group or interest, it has no meaning. And that is why, for me, I charge the various regional commissions to try as much as possible to step up their activities in the area of promoting the well-being of the people, so that those issues that we are having in the whole regional administration, we should be able to see that such issues come back in terms of development. In those days, you talk about cocoa, you go to the west. And then if you talk about granite, you come to the north. If you talk about coal, you go to the east. Now, we have come to develop ourselves and discover that we have many mineral resources. Like in the North Central now, at least, let's just try and see to what extent can they translate this commission into an industrial activity. That you say, okay, the mineral resources we are producing from the North Central, we are now going to process them and use them for our people. What good are we going to bring to our youth? What good are we going to bring to our educational development? What good are we going to bring to the life and the fabric of the people in the area? If that is done, it's a welcome decision.
I mean, we still have a long way to go in fixing all of the problem, because
Yes.
This government came on board to see how they can give development to the grassroots
Exactly.
and the regional. But all of these reforms, many have described that it is not impactful for Nigerians. How do you assess the reforms?
Well, it may be too early to conclude that they are not impactful, because development is not an issue that takes just the blink of the eye. It's something that is a process.
So you feel that we should stay on this path?
Yes.
Because the people are afraid what we have in Nigeria, this government starts and the other government tomorrow comes in to have his own decision. So if even the world, I mean, some organizations have advised that if Nigeria should stay on these reforms and this path, we might get things done. But we are afraid if after this government, the next government does not continue on this path, where is the fate of Nigerians?
The issue is that it depends on the performance indices. Because if they bring up the system and you don't perform well, what is the issue? Look at the Niger Delta Development Commission that they started. It really helped. And therefore, with that system in mind, people discover that, now, well, let's create a ministry. They created a ministry and they discovered that the developments were able to reach to Niger Delta, the issue of vandalization, breaking of pipelines was solved. Then now the other areas say, no, if that's the issue, why don't we get a commission? Some of the problems we have in our area, like banditry and all of that, by the grace of God, these are areas whereby you can try on your own. Because what we don't know, sometimes close our eyes to, is that You see, most of our problems are local. You need people who are within the locality to solve their problems. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes we impose alien solutions from nowhere. You just take them, hook, line, and sinker, and introduce them. That is why sometimes you don't find the implementation possible. Now, if we are now going to regions, okay, you regions, these are the problems you have. Go and solve your problem. You discover that if it works out well, any government that is coming, for you to change it, people protest. You see?
I mean, a very resounding one right there, Doctor. Thanks so much. Dr. Adamson is a legal practitioner and a senior real estate consultant here in the Federal Capital Territory. Thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, we'll be going on a very quick break, and once we return, we'll be looking at Nigeria's headline inflation has dropped to about 24.48% from 34%. Many have asked how, where, and when. We'll be joined by an analyst who, of course, will be joining us virtually to discuss all of that development after this break. Please stay with us.